10. Clever ways to deal with toxic people. You ever feel like someone in your life is slowly draining the energy out of you? Like every time you're around them, you leave feeling exhausted, frustrated, or even questioning yourself? Yeah. That's not just a bad vibe. That's toxicity at work. And if you don't know how to handle it, it will eat away at your confidence, your peace, and even your sanity. I know this because I've been there. There was a time when I let a toxic person have too much control over my emotions. They knew exactly what to say to make me doubt myself, exactly how to twist the truth so I'd feel like the problem, and exactly how to guilt-trip me into thinking I was overreacting. And you know what? I fell for it, every single time. But not anymore. I learned that dealing with toxic people isn't about changing them. It's about changing how you respond. Because the truth is, some people don't want to grow. Some people thrive on drama, manipulation, and negativity. And the more you try to reason with them, the more power you give them over your mind. So today, I'm giving you something better. 10 clever ways to handle toxic people without losing your sanity. These are real, effective, battle-tested strategies that will help you take back your energy, your confidence, and your peace. And trust me, they work. Whether it's a toxic friend, a manipulative family member, or that one coworker who seems to have a PhD in gaslighting, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do. Let's get into it. Part 1. Recognizing the toxicity before it's too late. Before you can deal with toxic people, you need to recognize them. And trust me, they don't always come with a warning sign. Some of them walk into your life like the best thing that ever happened to you, until you start noticing the patterns. Let's break it down. The 5 types of toxic people you'll meet. 1. The manipulator. They use guilt, lies, and mind games to get what they want. You ever had someone twist a situation so perfectly that you start apologizing for something they did? Yeah, that's them. 2. The energy vampire. The moment they enter the room, it's like all the positivity gets sucked out. They complain, they dump their problems on you, and they never bring anything good to the table. 3. The gaslighter. They make you question your own reality. You bring up something they said, and suddenly, I never said that. Or worse, you're imagining things. They rewrite history and make you feel crazy. 4. The narcissist. Everything is about them. Your feelings don't matter. Your achievements? They'll either ignore them or make them about themselves. And if you ever confront them, brace yourself. They'll play the victim like an Oscar-winning actor. 5. The drama addict. If there's no chaos, they'll create it. Gossip, arguments, conflict. These people thrive on negativity and love dragging you into their mess. Red flag alert. Toxic people will often disguise themselves as just being honest, just looking out for you, or just trying to help. But real honesty doesn't feel like an attack. Real care doesn't make you feel small. And real help? It doesn't come with strings attached. Story time. The slow burn of toxicity. I once had a friend. Let's call him Jake. At first, he was fun, charismatic, the kind of person who could light up a room. But over time, I started to notice something. Every conversation was about him, his problems, his issues. And any time I needed support, crickets. Then came the passive-aggressive comments. The guilt trips. The moments where I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells around him. And when I finally called him out, he flipped it. Suddenly, I was the bad friend. I was too sensitive. That's when it hit me. Toxic people don't change. They just find new ways to manipulate. And the longer you let them stay, the harder it is to walk away. Which brings us to Part 2. Strategy. Number 1. Emotional detachment. The art of not reacting. Toxic people love one thing more than anything else: a reaction. They feed off it. Whether it's anger, sadness, frustration, if they can control your emotions, they can control you. So here's the trick. Stop giving them what they want. How to emotionally detach like a pro 1. See them for what they are, not what they pretend to be. The moment you realize a toxic person is acting out of their own insecurities and control issues, their power over you weakens. Their words stop cutting as deep because you understand it's not about you, it's about them. 2. Practice the pause before you react rule. Next time a toxic person tries to push your buttons, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, do I need to react to this? Or is this just their way of trying to get under my skin? More often than not, the best response is no response. 3. Replace emotional reactions with logic. Toxic people thrive on emotions. Flip the script. Instead of reacting emotionally, respond with cold, logical detachment. Example. Them. Wow, you've been acting weird lately. Are you mad at me? You. Not at all, just been busy. End of discussion. Them. You always overreact to everything. You. That's your opinion. Zero emotion, zero fuel for their drama. 4. Visualize a shield around your energy. It might sound silly, but mentally picturing yourself inside a bubble of protection helps. Toxic words bounce off you instead of into you. You control what enters your space. 5. Don't explain, don't defend, don't justify. The moment you start explaining yourself to a toxic person, you've already lost. They'll twist your words, poke holes in your reasoning, and keep the argument going forever. Keep it short. Keep it neutral. Less is more. Story time. How I used emotional detachment to take back my power. Remember Jake, the friend I mentioned earlier? One day he called me out of nowhere and started going off about how I changed and wasn't there for him like I used to be. Old me? Would have defended myself, explained my side, and probably ended up feeling guilty. New me? I just said, I hear you. And then, silence. That silence? It destroyed him. Because toxic people expect you to argue, to explain, to engage. When you don't, they don't know what to do with themselves. And that's how I knew. I had won. Bottom line. Toxic people can't control you if you don't let them. The less emotion you give them, the less power they have. Part 3. Strategy, Number 2. The power of boundaries. Let's get one thing straight. Toxic people hate boundaries. Why? Because boundaries take away their control. They thrive on the fact that you feel obligated to put up with them, whether it's because of guilt, history, or manipulation. But the second you start setting boundaries, they panic. What are boundaries, really? A boundary is simply this: a rule that protects your energy, time, and mental health. And the best part? You don't need anyone's permission to set one. Warning: when you start enforcing boundaries, toxic people will push back. They'll call you selfish, dramatic, or say things like, "Oh, so now you're too good for me?" Ignore it. A healthy person will respect your boundaries. A toxic person will fight them. That's how you know the difference. How to set boundaries without guilt. 1. Decide what you will and won't accept. Will you let people talk down to you? Will you tolerate constant negativity? Will you allow someone to guilt trip you? Write it down. Make it clear in your mind. Because if you don't define your boundaries, no one else will. 2. Communicate it. Once. You don't owe anyone a PowerPoint presentation explaining why you have boundaries. Keep it short and firm. Them. You never answer my calls anymore. You. I'm prioritizing my mental health and I won't always be available. Them. I need you to listen to all my problems. You. I care about you, but I can't be your therapist. You don't need their approval. You're stating a fact. 3. Don't over-explain. Toxic people love loopholes. The more you explain your boundary, the more they'll find ways to break it. Keep it simple. 4. Enforce it with actions, not just words. If you say you won't tolerate disrespect, walk away when it happens. If you say you won't be available 24/7, stop responding immediately. If you say you won't be around negativity, start distancing yourself. Words mean nothing if your actions don't match. Story time. How I set boundaries and took my power back. I had a family member who always dumped their problems on me. Every call was a rant. Every visit was filled with drama. And the worst part? They never asked about me. So I set a rule. No more answering calls after 8 p.m. And guess what? The first time I ignored a late-night call, they lost it. Accused me of not caring. Told me I was being cold. But you know what? They got over it. And when they called me the next day, I answered on my terms. That's what boundaries do. They teach people how to treat you. Bottom line, if someone gets mad at you for setting boundaries, it means they were benefiting from you having none. Hold your ground. Part 4. Strategy number 3. The mirror trick. Self-reflection growth. Now, this one might hit deep, but it's important. What if I told you that sometimes the reason toxic people get to us is because they're reflecting something we need to work on in ourselves? I know. Sounds crazy, right? But hear me out. Why we attract or tolerate toxic people. Sometimes, toxic people don't just find us, we let them in. Not because we want to, but because deep down, there's a part of us that struggles with self-worth. So we allow mistreatment, hates confrontation, so we avoid setting boundaries, fears being alone, so we put up with bad people just to have someone around. Sound familiar? If so, don't feel bad. It's not your fault. But it is something you can change. How to use the mirror trick to protect yourself. 1. Ask yourself, what is this toxic person showing me? Instead of just getting angry at a toxic person, ask, why does this trigger me so much? Do they make you feel small? Maybe there's a part of you that already doubts yourself. Do they make you feel guilty? Maybe you've been conditioned to people please. Do they push you around? Maybe you've struggled with speaking up for yourself. The people who trigger us often expose the wounds we haven't healed yet. 2. Take responsibility for your own growth. You can't change toxic people, but you can change how much access they have to your life. If you've been attracting manipulative people, work on self-assertion. If you've been tolerating disrespect, work on self-respect. If you've been letting guilt control you, work on saying no without explaining. Toxic people will always exist. But they lose power when you heal the part of you that lets them in. Story time. The moment I realized I was part of the problem. Years ago, I had a pattern. I kept attracting users. People who only came to me when they needed something. And every time I'd tell myself, ugh, why does this keep happening to me? Until one day someone asked me, why do you keep saying yes? And it hit me. I wasn't a victim. I was enabling it. I wasn't setting clear boundaries. I was afraid to say no. And deep down, I wanted to be liked so badly that I let people take advantage of me. That realization, It changed everything, because when I started valuing myself more, the toxic people, they started fading away. Bottom line, toxic people take advantage of what you don't heal. Work on yourself, and watch how quickly your tolerance for their nonsense disappears. Part 5. Strategy number 4. Tactical responses. Handling confrontation like a pro. Okay, so we've talked about emotional detachment, setting boundaries, and self-reflection. But let's be real. Some toxic people just don't quit. You set a boundary, they test it. You ignore their drama. They escalate it. You try to walk away, they guilt trip you. That's why you need tactical responses. Quick, powerful phrases that shut them down without getting sucked into their chaos. The 3 golden rules of responding to toxic people. 1. Keep it short. The more you explain, the more ammo they have. 2. Stay calm. Toxic people want an emotional reaction. Don't give them one. 3. Repeat yourself if necessary. Some people won't respect your first boundary. Hold your ground. The best responses for every toxic situation. When they try to gaslight you. That's not how I remember it. I trust my own memory. I'm not going to argue about reality. When they guilt trip you. I understand that's how you feel. I won't be guilted into something that doesn't feel right. That's your opinion, and I have mine. When they insult you disguised as a joke. That wasn't funny to me. I don't do passive-aggressive comments. If you have something to say, just say it directly. When they keep pushing your boundaries. I already answered that. This topic is closed. If you keep pushing, I'm walking away. When they try to start drama. I'm not getting involved in this. That sounds like something you need to sort out with them. I don't do gossip. Story time. How I shut down a toxic person in 10 seconds. I once had a coworker who loved stirring up drama. Every time something happened in the office, she'd whisper, "Did you hear about what someone else did?" At first, I'd politely nod or listen. But one day, I decided I was done feeding into it. She leaned over and said, "You won't believe what I just heard." And I just looked at her and said, "I don't do gossip." Her face. Priceless. She blinked, mumbled something, and never tried it with me again. Lesson learned. Toxic people only play their games if you let them. Bottom line, the best way to handle toxic people is with calm, firm, and direct responses. No arguing, no explaining. Just shut it down. Part 6. Strategy. Number 5. Controlling your environment. Eliminating the triggers. You can't always change toxic people, but you can control how much access they have to your life. Think of your energy like a house. Who are you letting in? Are you keeping the doors wide open for negativity? Or are you protecting your space? How to take back control of your space. 1. Identify your energy drainers. Make a list of people, places, and even habits that make you feel drained, anxious, or unhappy. Does scrolling through social media make you feel worse? Does talking to a certain person always leave you exhausted? Do certain conversations always pull you into negativity? Awareness is step 1. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. 2. Create toxic-free zones. Decide where you will not allow toxic energy. Your phone, unfollow, mute, or block people who bring negativity. Your home? Set a rule. No toxic conversations allowed inside your space. Your mind. Train yourself to shut down negative thoughts before they spiral. 3. Limit your exposure to toxic people. Not everyone deserves full access to you. And just because someone is family, a longtime friend, or a coworker, doesn't mean they get unlimited time in your life. Low contact strategy. If you can't cut someone off completely, Minimize your interaction. Time limits. Set a mental timer. 10 minutes on the phone instead of an hour. Emotional barriers. You can be physically present without engaging emotionally. 4. Choose who you spend your time with. Ever notice how some people leave you feeling inspired and motivated, while others leave you feeling drained and negative? That's not a coincidence. Ask yourself, who in your life makes you feel seen and heard, supports your growth instead of keeping you stuck, gives as much as they take? Surround yourself with more of those people, because the more time you spend with good energy, the less tolerance you'll have for toxic energy. Story time. The day I took my power back. There was a time when I felt stuck, drained by toxic people, exhausted from drama, constantly feeling like I was walking on eggshells. Then I did something that changed everything. I made one small decision every day to take my energy back. I muted toxic people on social media. I stopped answering every draining phone call. I started spending more time with people who lifted me up. And little by little, my peace came back. Bottom line, toxic people can only drain you if you give them access. Start guarding your time, your space, and your mind like your life depends on it. Because honestly, it does. Part 7. Strategy. 6. Using humor as a shield. You know what toxic people hate? Not being taken seriously. They thrive on making you feel small, stressed, or defensive. But when you refuse to engage in their negativity and use humor instead, you take away their power. Why humor works against toxic people. 1. It diffuses tension. Instead of arguing, you make the situation lighter, without letting them get to you. 2. It shows you're unaffected. Toxic people want a reaction. When you laugh it off, they realize they can't control you. 3. It puts you in control. Instead of being dragged into their chaos, you're flipping the script. How to use humor to shut down toxic people. When someone tries to insult you, them. Wow, you're so sensitive. You. I know, right? I cry at commercials too. Smile and move on. When someone tries to guilt trip you, them. Oh, so you're too busy for me now? You. Yep, I'm actually booked for the next 5 years. Call me in 2029. When someone tries to gaslight you, them. I never said that. You. Huh. Guess I imagined that whole conversation then. My brain is wild. When someone tries to start drama, them. Did you hear what so-and-so did? You. Oh no, do I need popcorn for this story? See what's happening here. You're not feeding into their negativity. You're making it clear you don't take the bait. Story time. The day I used humor and walked away. Winning. I once had a coworker who lived for drama. She'd try to pull me into office gossip, complain about everything, and stir up problems where there were none. One day she looked at me and said, "Wow, you're really quiet today. Something wrong?" Old me would have felt the need to explain myself. New me? I just smiled and said, "Nope, I'm just practicing my mysterious brooding movie character look." She laughed, then she walked away. End of conversation. Bottom line, you don't have to fight toxic people. Sometimes, you just need to make them realize they can't mess with you. Part 8. Strategy. Number 7. The energy audit. Who gets your time? Let's be real. Not everyone deserves access to you. One of the best ways to deal with toxic people isn't by confronting them. It's by quietly cutting back how much time and energy you give them. Step 1. Do an energy audit. Take out a piece of paper. Write down the top 5 people you spend the most time with. Now ask yourself, do I feel good after talking to them? Do they support me or drain me? Do they bring value to my life, or just negativity? If someone consistently makes you feel exhausted, guilty, or anxious, it's time to rethink how much access they have to you. Step 2. Rank people into 3 categories. Category 1. The energizers. These are the people who lift you up, inspire you, and support you. Spend more time with them. Category 2. The neutrals. These people aren't necessarily toxic, but they also don't bring much value. Limit your time with them. Category 3. The drainers. These are the toxic ones, the ones who take more than they give, manipulate, or create chaos. Start distancing yourself. Step 3. Start reallocating your time. Think of your time like a bank account. If someone drains your balance every time you interact, why are you still giving them unlimited access? Toxic friend? See them once a month instead of every week. Toxic family member. Keep conversations short and stick to neutral topics. Toxic coworker? Keep things strictly professional. No unnecessary chit-chat. Story time. The month I stopped giving my time to the wrong people. A few years ago, I noticed something. Every time I hung out with a certain friend, I'd leave feeling exhausted and emotionally drained. So I did a test. For 1 month, I stopped reaching out. I didn't ignore them. I just didn't initiate. Guess what? They didn't even notice. They never checked in. And suddenly, I had more time for people who actually valued me. That's when I realized I was the one keeping that friendship alive. And the moment I let go, I felt free. Bottom line, not everyone deserves access to your time and energy. Choose wisely. Part 9. Strategy. Great. The gray rock method, for when you can't escape. All right, let's talk about a next-level strategy for dealing with toxic people, especially the ones you can't cut off completely. Maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's family, maybe it's someone who just refuses to leave you alone. When walking away isn't an option, you need the gray rock method. What is the gray rock method? It's simple. Become as boring as a gray rock. Toxic people crave drama. They want an emotional reaction. They feed off your energy. So when you stop giving them anything interesting to work with, they lose interest. How to use the gray rock method. Like a pro 1. Keep your responses dry and uninteresting. Them. You never listen to me anymore. You. Them. Guess what happened today? Drama incoming. You. Oh, okay. Them. Why are you being weird? You. Just tired. The less energy you give them, the faster they get bored. 2. Give short, neutral answers. Them. What are you doing later? You. Not much. Them. I heard so-and-so was talking about you. You. Okay. No interest, no reaction. They'll move on. 3. Don't engage in their games. Them. Are you mad at me? You. Nope. Them. Why are you acting like this? You. No reason. 4. Keep it emotionally flat. No excitement, no anger, just neutral, emotionless responses. Toxic people want a show. Don't give them one. Story time. How I made a toxic person lose interest in me. I once had a coworker who loved drama. She'd pull people into gossip, complain about everything, and stir up unnecessary conflicts. One day, she tried to get me involved in an argument. She said, "Did you hear what other coworkers said about you?" Old me. Would have panicked, asked for details, gotten upset. New me? Just shrugged and said, "Huh. All right." Her face. Total confusion. She tried again. "Aren't you mad?" Me. Nah. Within a week, she stopped trying with me. Why? Because I wasn't fun anymore. Bottom line, if you can't walk away from a toxic person, make them lose interest in you. The less you react, the faster they get bored. Part 10. Strategy. 9. Mastering the exit. When to walk away for good. Let's be real. Some toxic people aren't worth the effort. You can try setting boundaries. You can try using humor. You can even go full-on gray rock mode. But sometimes, the best move is to walk away. How to know when it's time to cut someone off. 1. When they repeatedly disrespect your boundaries. If you've set clear limits and they keep ignoring them, they don't respect you. 2. When they drain your energy. Every time. If someone consistently leaves you feeling exhausted, stressed, or anxious, it's not worth it. 3. When you have to walk on eggshells around them. If you're always careful about what you say because you're afraid of setting them off, that's not a real relationship. That's emotional exhaustion. 4. When you feel worse about yourself after being around them. A good relationship should make you feel supported and valued. If someone constantly makes you doubt yourself, that's a toxic environment. 5. When there's no growth or change. If you've tried to fix things, tried to communicate, tried to set boundaries, and nothing improves, it's time to let go. How to walk away without guilt. 1. Accept that you don't owe them an explanation. You don't need their permission to protect your peace. 2. Cut access, not just contact. Block them. Mute them. Unfollow them. Whatever it takes to stop letting them into your space. 3. Prepare for their reaction. Toxic people hate losing control. They might try to guilt trip you, play the victim, or suddenly act nice to reel you back in. Don't fall for it. 4. Remind yourself why you left. Whenever you start feeling guilty, think back to how they made you feel. You're not leaving to hurt them. You're leaving to heal yourself. Story time. The day I finally cut ties with a toxic person. I had a friend, someone I had known for years. And for a long time, I kept making excuses for them. They're just going through a tough time. Maybe they don't realize how they make me feel. I don't want to be mean. But then one day, after yet another conversation where they guilt-tripped me, made me feel small, and twisted the truth to make me the bad guy, I finally had enough. I sent one final message. This friendship doesn't feel healthy for me anymore. I need space. I wish you the best. Then I blocked them, deleted their number, and walked away. And you know what? It felt amazing. Bottom line, some people don't deserve access to you. Protect your peace and let them go. Final takeaways. What we learned today. Recognize toxic people before they take over your life. Emotionally detach. Don't give them the reaction they want. Set clear, strong boundaries and actually enforce them. Use humor to disarm their negativity. Limit their access to your energy and time. Go full gray rock mode when necessary, and when all else fails. Walk away without looking back. Your turn. Have you ever had to deal with a toxic person? What worked for you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more ways to level up your mental strength and take control of your life. You deserve peace. Don't let anyone take that away from you. Part 11. Strategy. 10. Turning pain into power, the ultimate comeback. All right, we've covered all the tactical ways to deal with toxic people. How to recognize them, shut them down, set boundaries, and even walk away when necessary. But now, let's talk about something even more powerful. How to use your experience with toxic people to grow, evolve, and come out stronger than ever. Because, let's be real, Dealing with toxic people hurts. They can shake your confidence, drain your energy, and make you doubt yourself. But what if, instead of letting them break you, you use them as fuel to become the strongest, most unstoppable version of yourself? This is where the real transformation happens. Step 1. Reframe the experience. See the lesson, not just the pain. Instead of thinking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask yourself, "What did this teach me?" Because every toxic person teaches you something, even if that lesson is simply what you will never tolerate again. A manipulator taught you to trust your instincts. A narcissist taught you the importance of self-worth. A gaslighter taught you to stand firm in your truth. A fake friend taught you the value of real, supportive relationships. Pain is a teacher. And if you look at it that way, you win. Step 2. Work on the parts of you that allowed the toxicity. Let's be honest, most of us don't attract toxic people on purpose. But sometimes there's something inside us that makes us vulnerable to them. Are you afraid of confrontation? Toxic people will exploit that. Do you struggle with self-worth? They'll sense it and manipulate you. Are you a natural people pleaser? They'll take advantage of that kindness. This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about realizing that once you heal the wounds that made you accept toxic behavior, you become untouchable. Start setting boundaries earlier. Stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace. Recognize red flags and walk away before it gets worse. The more you heal, the less tolerance you'll have for toxic people, because you'll know your worth. Step 3. Level up and build a life where toxic people can't thrive. You know what happens when you start choosing peace, confidence, and self-respect. Toxic people start to fade away. Your energy shifts, and you attract better people. You stop caring about the opinions of people who don't deserve you. This is the ultimate comeback, living your best life and leaving toxic people behind. Invest in yourself. Read, learn, and grow. Surround yourself with good energy. The right people make a world of difference. Focus on your goals. Build the life you want, and let go of anyone who isn't aligned with it. Because at the end of the day, toxic people don't deserve to break you. They deserve to be forgotten while you thrive. Story time. The moment I realized I was unstoppable. A while ago, I ran into someone from my past. Someone who once made me feel small, powerless, and not good enough. But this time, it was different. I didn't feel triggered. I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel anything, really, because I had already outgrown them. And that's when I knew I won. Not by arguing, not by proving them wrong, but by growing into someone they could never break again. Bottom line, the best revenge, success, peace, and happiness. Let them stay stuck in their toxic cycle. You're moving forward. Final words, your next steps. If you're dealing with a toxic person right now, remember this. You don't have to engage. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't owe them your energy. What you do owe yourself: a peaceful, fulfilling, and drama-free life. If this helped you, hit that like button and subscribe for more ways to protect your energy and take back your power. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had to cut off a toxic person? How did it change your life? Let's talk about it. Remember, you are stronger than any toxic person who ever tried to break you. Keep growing. Keep thriving. And most importantly, keep protecting your peace.